and use nearby stations instead. That is what we are recommending. Finally, it's my pleasure to introduce our speaker for the day. That's going to be Pastor Alison. Please give her a warm welcome.
Good morning, everyone. My name is Alison, and as Maddie mentioned, I'm the lead pastor here at the River. Welcome to all of you who are here in the room. I see some college students who are home from break. It's really good to see you guys. Welcome, welcome. Welcome, all of you. And welcome to all of you who are tuning in via live stream. We are so glad that you're here with us celebrating Christmas. This is always such a special service. I really look forward to it every year. I love how we transform the space from Advent to Christmas and all the decorations are up. I love the beautiful carols that are led by the worship team. The presentation from the kids and youth is always so wonderful. Great job, kids and youth. But most of all, it's just so special to be here with all of you, the River community, together in this room with our kids, our youth, adults, all together. So earlier in the service, our kids and youth helped us consider the many different ways that we can think about and experience and describe love. And lately, I've been thinking about how this is also true about Christmas. There are many different ways that we can understand and talk about and celebrate Christmas. And this morning, we're going to explore a few of those together. So one way that we often think about Christmas is as a season. The pinnacle of the season, the central point is Christmas Day, or in some cultures, Christmas Eve. But Christmas is typically celebrated for much longer than a single day. Christmas is experienced over the course of a season. And in our cultural context, we tend to start the celebrations early, in the weeks, or some cases months, leading up to Christmas Day. So I'd like to know, let's see by show of hands, when do you think that the Christmas season officially begins? Is it November 1st? Some takers, okay. Is it the day after Thanksgiving? Okay, a lot more takers there. What about sometime in December? All right. Even if we disagree about the details, most of us here probably agree that Christmas celebrations should start before Christmas. But interestingly, in other cultures and in other historical moments, it has actually been more common to experience this celebratory season during the weeks after Christmas Day. So you know those 12 days of Christmas from the song, the ones with the turtle doves and the golden rings and the drumming drummers. Traditionally, those would have come in the days after Christmas Day, not before. But whatever the details, this impulse to try to stretch out the season makes sense to me. It makes sense that over the years, people have wanted to experience the beautiful parts of Christmas for just a little bit longer. That as a people, we try to soak in as much of its goodness as we can before it slips through our fingers again. Especially in times when life feels hard or it seems like the world is falling apart. The Christian tradition also supports this impulse to linger around Christmas. The seasons of Advent and Christmastide are designed to help us slow down. They are designed to help us to be intentional about both reveling in and wrestling with the mystery that God, that love itself has and continues to draw near to us. Even a season can sometimes feel too short to contemplate a mystery like this one, which is why we return to Christmas again and again, year after year. Another way that our culture often talks about Christmas is as a feeling. You've probably heard phrases like that Christmas feeling or feeling the Christmas spirit. The song Christmas is All Around, it says, I feel it in my fingers, I feel it in my toes. What about you, kids and youth? Do you feel Christmas in your fingers? Yeah. What about in your toes? Do you feel it in your toes? No? We often talk about Christmas as a feeling, but what exactly is this feeling that we're talking about? In practice, it seems that when we talk about the feeling of Christmas, we actually mean many different things, all wrapped up together. Things like cheer and excitement, warmth and togetherness, connection and belonging, gratitude and generosity, wonder and delight, peace and hope and joy and love. These are all such wonderful things, and I sincerely hope that all of us will have more of them in our lives in the coming year. But it can be a lot of pressure to put these kinds of expectations on a season and on ourselves. Because, of course, there are things that we can do to help generate the feeling of Christmas. But it's also true that so much about our emotions and our life circumstances remain out of our control. For some, Christmas is just as the carols promise. It's the most wonderful time of the year. But for others, it can be a pretty painful season that brings up feelings of sadness and loneliness. And for most people, it's a bit like life itself. It's a mix of joy and sorrow, of connection and disconnection, of excitement and exhaustion. Which is why it seems to me that for Christmas to be truly meaningful, it's got to be about more than just good feelings. Howard Thurman, a famous civil rights leader, educator, theologian, and mystic, is known for saying that Christianity is only meaningful if it serves those who live with their backs constantly against the wall. What he meant by that is that if the Christian message does not help those who are poor or pushed aside or forgotten or mistreated, then it's actually completely meaningless. I believe the same is true about Christmas. Christmas only matters if it can be meaningful for anyone, anywhere, whatever they might be going through. Christmas can't just be for people who make a lot of money or who have lots of supportive friends and family members or who are overflowing with holiday cheer. So switch gears a bit. One of my favorite Christmas movies is The Muppet Christmas Carol. Have any of you here seen it? Not enough of you have seen it. If you haven't seen it before, I highly recommend that you give it a chance. It's really, really great. And there's a song in the movie that says, "It is the season of the heart, a special time of caring, the ways of love made clear. It is the season of the Spirit. The message, if we hear it, is make it last all year." So many of the Christmas stories that we love, the ones that really stick with us, are ones that are about just this: the ways of love being made clear, hearing the message of the season, accepting the invitation to live differently, not just at Christmas time, but all year long. And these stories, they point to the idea that Christmas is more than just a season or a feeling. Christmas is also an invitation to allow love to shape how we perceive and understand and move through the world. As I've been reflecting on this idea, I've found myself returning again and again to a particular Christmas song, a song called "Do You Hear What I Hear?" So by chance, does anyone here know what year this song was released? And no cheating, no Googling. Any guesses? Shout them out. Huh? No guesses? Okay, got 1940s, 1992, 1977. All right, Shannon, you're the closest. Do You Hear What I Hear was released in 1962. And this song has a really interesting backstory. The people who wrote it, Noel Regney and Gloria Shane, they shared that they wrote it during a time when they and the people around them were very afraid about what was happening in the world. You see, this song was written during the Cuban Missile Crisis, when people were very afraid that war was coming. And Regney, he knew firsthand how horrible war was, because Regney, he was from France. And during World War II, after his country was invaded, he was forced to be part of the German army. Regney, he worked as a resistance fighter, secretly working against the Germans from the inside, and he survived the war. But even after it was over, he never forgot how terrible it had been. Years later, Regney ended up moving here to New York City. And one October morning in 1962, he found himself walking around the city. His mood and the mood of the city that day was very somber and tense. Because as I mentioned before, people were worried and afraid that war was coming. As Regney made his way around the city, walking and worrying, he suddenly noticed something. He later said of this moment, "En route to my home, I saw two mothers with their babies in strollers. The little angels were looking at each other and smiling. All of a sudden, my mood was extraordinary." On a global scale, in that moment, nothing had changed. The threat of war still loomed, but a glimmer of something else, of hope or joy or love, was suddenly there too. A glimmer that Regney recognized and that shifted his perspective. Regney said that the babies who so lifted his spirits reminded him of little lambs. And ultimately, they inspired him to write the lyrics to Do You Hear What I Hear? And how fitting is it that this experience would inspire a Christmas song? Because this is what Christmas, what Jesus' birth is all about. It's about love breaking in unexpected places to ordinary people in the midst of a world where the beautiful and the terrible are all mixed up together. So there are two versions of Jesus' birth story in the Bible, and many of the elements of those stories appear or are alluded to in the song, Do You Hear What I Hear? Symbols like the vulnerable baby Jesus, the bright star that guided the gift-giving magi, the shepherds in the field with their sheep, the glorious song of the angels in the sky, a powerful king, and promises of peace and goodness and light. Regney and Shane, they creatively wove these familiar elements together into a plea for peace that still resonates today, into a song that inspires us to expand our capacities for the ways of love, into lyrics that invite us into sacred practices of noticing and sharing with one another. So I wanted to try to find a way to help us visualize the lyrics of the song. So I started searching to see if there was an animated version out there. And I was very pleased to discover that there is. Unfortunately, there isn't time for me to play it for you today because it would make this sermon way, way too long. But feel free to check it out on your own. It's, just to warn you, it's very cool, but it's also a little bit strange, which at least for me is part of the appeal. The music comes from the Polyphonic Spree, and the animation comes from Benjamin Rowe, Rainer Judd, and Nicole Vidor. And let me share some screenshots of the video with you. So the song begins with the night wind talking to a little lamb. The night wind says, "Little lamb, do you see what I see way up in the sky? There's a star dancing in the night with a tail as big as a kite." And then the little lamb speaks to the shepherd boy, saying, "Shepherd boy, do you hear what I hear ringing through the sky? There's a song high above the trees with a voice as big as the sea." And then from there, the shepherd boy goes to speak to a mighty king. The shepherd boy says, "Mighty king, from your warm palace, do you know what I know? There's a child that shivers in the cold. Let us bring him silver and gold." Amazingly, the king listens, and he is inspired to spread the message of love far and wide. The mighty king says, "People everywhere, listen to what I say. Pray for peace. The child sleeping in the night, he will bring us goodness and light." And there's so much that I love about this song. Each character has developed their capacity to notice, to allow love to move them, to see and to understand things about the world that others often miss or choose to look away from. And they don't just keep their noticings to themselves. Instead, they share them with others, inviting others to be moved by love and to notice along with them. Each act of noticing and sharing inspires another act of noticing and sharing. Everyone has a unique insight, a gift of perspective that they can offer. And ultimately, there's a ripple effect that allows the message of love to spread far and wide. Even the halls of power, as represented by the mighty king, are influenced for good. I can't help but wonder, how might our lives and the world be different if we allowed love to enable us to see like the night wind, to hear like the little lamb, to understand like the shepherd boy, to speak like the mighty king? Would we perhaps be more open to experiences of joy and awe and wonder? More able to recognize value in unexpected places and in unlikely people? Perhaps more willing to empathize with those who are different from us? Or bolder in how we use our power and influence to try to make a positive difference in the world? All this talk of seeing and hearing, it reminds me of one final Christmas story that I want to mention today. The Polar Express by Chris Van Allsburg. So, spoiler alert, if you don't know the story, one Christmas Eve, a group of kids board a magical train to the North Pole. Many things happen during their adventure, but a key plot point is that the main character ends up bringing home a bell from Santa's sleigh. The book ends by saying, "At one time, most of my friends could hear the bell, but as years passed, it fell silent for all of them. Even Sarah found one Christmas that she could no longer hear its sweet sound. Though I've grown old, the bell still rings for me, as it does for all who truly believe." As a kid, I loved this book, but it also scared me a little bit. I loved it because the adventure felt so magical. But it scared me because I worried that I would grow up to become an adult who couldn't hear the bell ring anymore. But what I didn't understand as a kid is that we get to have a say in the kind of adults that we become. We can do things to become the kind of adults who are still able to hear the bell ring. We can do things to help ourselves remain open to things like wonder and possibility and beauty and goodness and truth, to allow love to shape how we perceive and understand and move through the world. So this is my prayer for all of us as we celebrate Christmas and prepare to enter a new year. May we be people who are able to recognize the miraculous in the ordinary, who will allow ourselves to notice beauty and to be surprised by joy, who are willing to move toward and to make room for others for the sake of love, who are united in working for and praying for peace and in celebrating goodness and light. May we, whether we are kids or youth or adults, be people who never stop hearing the bell ring. Amen. So in just a moment, we're going to begin transitioning into the last parts of our service. And we're going to light Advent candles and sing some more songs together. Before we do that, I want to invite you, on your way out today, please pick up a copy of the poem that Amelia mentioned earlier, but also we have bells for you. We'd love for you to take a bell home with you, and we hope that it will serve as a beautiful reminder of today's service and also a reminder of the presence of love that is always with you. So the practice of lighting candles during the Christmas season began in the 1800s in an orphanage. Each night of Advent, the weeks leading up to Christmas, a pastor gathered the children around him to light a candle, to tell them a story, and to pray. Night after night, candles were added, more and more lights pushing together against the darkness. Visitors to the orphanage, they loved this tradition, and versions of the custom began to spread among churches and among families. And so all these years later, we too light the candles, inviting God's presence to be illuminated among us and through us. So I'd like to invite Maddie Abbott up. So once again today, we light the candles of hope and peace and joy. And today we also add the candle that represents love. So as Maddie lights the candles, I'm going to share a poem, a Christmas poem from Madeline Lingo. It's called First Coming. He did not wait till the world was ready, till men and nations were at peace. He came when the heavens were unsteady and prisoners cried out for release. He did not wait for the perfect time. He came when the need was deep and great. He dined with sinners in all their grime, turned water into wine. He did not wait till hearts were pure. In joy he came to a tarnished world of sin and doubt. To a world like ours of anguish, shame, he came, and his light would not go out. He came to a world which did not mesh, to heal its tangles, shield its scorn. In the mystery of the word made flesh, the maker of the stars was born. We cannot wait till the world is sane, to raise our songs with joyful voice. For to share our grief, to touch our pain, he came with love. Rejoice, rejoice.